What is going on, guys? Sabit Trades here, back with another video. It's been about 6 to 7 months since I last uploaded a video to YouTube, but I took these last 6 months to kind of focus on myself, figure out my edge, my strategy, and really work on that to build a really strong foundation here with trading the markets. Since the last video, I've also transitioned from trading options contracts to trading futures. So in today's video, I'm going to go over my last two trades from this week. I've only taken two so far. I'm going to go over my P&L and show you guys my statistics. And we're also going to go over some 5 key points that I was able to really identify within these last 6 months. Yesterday, Tuesday open, this box that we have right here is our initial balance, and it's essentially the range in which the market traded for the first hour of the New York session open. So the key things that I was looking for on Tuesday to take a trade was we have this value area here from Monday close, and I was waiting for the market to make a push out of this value area, retest it, and then go long and just target those higher prices. Or inversely, I was waiting for them to break below this value area low, retest it, and then I would enter short and target lower prices. I did get a little eager, although in this situation, it really wouldn't have helped to be more patient. However, I used the initial balance break and retest to take my long rather than the value area. It didn't really matter in this situation as the market decided to just pull back and finish the day trading within range. So that was kind of the, this Tuesday trade. I took the breakout and retest of initial balance, which is typically high probability when you add it with some other confluences. And I did get stopped out here. I know that doesn't show it actually, but I did get stopped out by a tick or at the tick. So like right at 5 points, I got stopped out. So we took a loss on Tuesday. Now, when we fast forward to Wednesday, we have a lot more information generated, and I was able to use that to my advantage. So if we take off the SVP, we can now see that we're very clearly in a range, and I can draw a little box out here for you guys so you guys can visually see that. Let's do it right there. It's not going to be perfect ever. So this is essentially our range, okay? And so when this morning came around, you guys can see that Tuesday at 6 p.m. when the future market opened right back up, we're still trading well within this range. We came to test these extremes, the top of this range, we rejected. And so by the time I woke up here at like 7:30, seeing that we're still rejecting these highs was giving me a little bit of a bullish bias. You don't always want to have a bias of the market going in just one single direction because you'll get caught trying to, long whenever we have a fallen knife, and you're going to get caught trying to short whenever we have like a balloon just flying away. So I try my best to not ever just have a single bias, but in this situation, with how much we were rejecting these higher prices at the top of this range, I was pretty confident that we would, sell off a bit. I wasn't expecting this much of a sell off today, but I was definitely expecting for us to come down lower. So again, we're trading within this range, and then we ultimately got what I was waiting for, which is a break out of the range. We retested it, and that's where I took my short. So today, that patience really paid off. I had some other levels that I could have used to target short, but I was just really waiting for us. I kept saying, man, once we break 760, which is where we entered, once we break 760, then I'm full on gonna go in for short, and that's exactly what I did. So I essentially had this whole area to work with for my entry. Now, of course, the most ideal entry would have been right here at 763.25. However, I didn't want to set it that high. I wanted to really make sure that I could enter my trade, and I feel like I chose a pretty good spot within my range. This was a 4-to-1 risk reward ratio, so I was risking 5 points to make 20, and that's exactly what we got today. So again, this was a very high confluence trade for the simple fact that we're following basic market auction theory, which is we have a balance, we break out of balance, we retest the balance, and then we take the trade in the opposite direction. So that's really all it is. Those are the two trades I've taken so far this week, and that's the reason why I took my trades, the reason why I won one, and the reason why I lost one. So now we can go into looking at the actual statistics that I have for you guys. So over the last 6 months, I have taken 100 trades on the dot, or actually 99 trades. Sorry, not 100. Bad math. So 99 trades. The account started at $117, and we now have it at 1,076. So we were able to 10x the account within 6 months. And that is with a 38% win rate. Now, one thing that I'm going to explain to you guys is the last 3 months of my journey were quite rough. We can see that in the first 3 months of trading, I had 7x the account, and we had a 48% win rate. Now, towards the end of July and beginning of September, or sorry, beginning of August, I was dealing with life, some employment issues here and there, so I wasn't working, and I was essentially relying on trading for my finances. Now, even now, I'm not in a position, I'm still not really ready to fully rely on trading, and that was a lesson that I learned over these last 2.5 months. With depending on trading, I was forcing trades. And anytime I took a trade, I was essentially just with the goal of trying to make money versus trying to really learn and get a good experience out of it. So we can see that from July 22nd, we go from a 48% win rate to a 38% win rate. However, the account is still up 10x and we're still profitable. So that's essentially all that matters. With your proper risk to reward management and simply taking good trades, you can definitely, make it in this field. Now, again, if we look at our stats, at one point the account got to 1237 on August 25th, and we definitely had, a period again where I was forcing trades, and I'll show you a little bit of that. And it just wasn't a good headspace for me to really be trading in the markets. If we look at the calendar, for the most part, so like April, we finished a month green. In May, we finished a month green. In June, we finished a month green. And in July, which is by far my best month actually, we finished the month really green. Now, August is when I started to kind of go downhill. We can see 6 trades here, like $20 losses, but a $9 and a $4 gain. Like, what the freak was I thinking? Another day here where I was just taking trades. We come to September and we just see red week after red week after red week going into October. And so, as we can see here, and this was just 2 weeks ago. I took 3 trades. I took 2 trades. I took 3 trades. I just wasn't following my rule of taking 1 trade a day because, well, I'll explain to you here in a second why that's important to me, as well as simply taking trades to make money. And that's not how I want to be in trading. That's not how I see myself succeeding in trading. So I took the last week off to just sit back, reanalyze, recuperate. That way I could come into this week a lot stronger. And I did so. So again, this is the trade that we looked over from Tuesday, from yesterday. We took a $26.82 loss. And then today we were able to make that $98.18 win. So as of right now, we're up, we're green in the week, but that's not my goal. My goal isn't to finish, or that's not what I'm mentally thinking about is, oh, I got to finish this week green. Oh, I got to finish this month green. Because my statistics already tell me that I can lose 6 out of 10 trades and still make money and still be profitable. So that's the biggest take that I'm, taking from my statistics here. 38 wins, 61 losses. I'm still well in profit after 6 months. And in my opinion, that's just showing me that I have so far a really good foundation. And as long as I can keep my strengths from these last 6 months and improve on my weaknesses, that I really do have a roadmap and a game plan to make it in this trading field. Now, we'll go over the 5 key things that I was able to take away here from these last 6 months. And as we just discussed, number one is around the 3 month mark, I was able to 12x my account with a 48% win rate. And with that came a feeling of overconfidence, which led me to trading more than I was allowed to, which is 1 trade a day. Now, the reason why 1 trade a day is important to me is I can give you a quick analogy. Let's say you have one shot in your rifle and you have a bear coming at you. You're going to be most likely to take your time with that shot to try and do the most damage you can, because that's all you have. And when you translate that into trading, the best way I can say it is that if I limit myself to 1 trade a day, that really forces me to sit back, let the market come to me, because I want to make sure that the one trade I take is as highly probable as it can be. And that just helped me build confidence, patience, and discipline, which psychologically, that's the hardest part of trading. Anybody can draw some lines on a chart. Anybody can say, oh, we're going to bounce here, we're going to reject from here. But it's all about being able to wait for that bounce, wait for that rejection, and actually executing your trade, which is going to help you move forward and excel in your journey. Number two, which I can show you here, is that I started to risk less per trade, in order to not just increase my risk to reward ratio, but in order to protect my account. We can see here in the very beginning of the journey, I was risking 10 points on MES, which is $50. So I was taking $50 losses for every $100 win. And after about 3.5 months, I started to realize that if my trade was going to be a loser, is that typically once I'm 6 or 7 points in drawdown, or in the red, excuse me, is that's typically when it's just going to continue to go against me. So what I did was I still kept my take profit to 15 to 20 points, because those are the type of trades that I'm executing. But I was able to confidently risk less and still make the same amount, if not more. So at some point, you see we kind of stop losing $50 per day, and we start losing. Okay, I lost 101 here because I oversized. I got way too confident on my trade there. But anyways, we can see that we are now risking less as of August. 26, 30, 21, 20, 16, 20. Some of this did come from like, oh, I'll just take this trade and risk less. But at the same time, this is me realizing, hey, I don't need to always risk this much money to make my $100. So that's the second point that I was able to take from. And after my 12 loss streak, like that really puts it into perspective. That your risk to reward is important, because if you are going to be losing as much as I am, risking less is going to keep your account afloat. Okay. Number 3 is that whenever I took the time to plan my trade, to zoom out, look left, to really try and understand what the price is doing, what the market is doing, as well as sticking to my edge, it provided me the best results. There were some trades I took where I took someone else's call out. There were some trades where I decided to maybe add a new indicator to my trading and trade using that. And so the best thing for me is to take my time to plan my trade, look at the full picture, and stick to what I already know and what I've learned, and that provided me with the best results. Now, number 4 is that, and it kind of does tie in with number 3, is that I wasn't always using all my information in order to make my analysis and make my execution trade. So, an example could be like not really understanding what profile was made here. This is a P, this is a D. A P can sometimes be an indicator that you are at the end of an uptrend. Your D profile is showing you that you're in a range. And then you have, for example, today, which was a thin profile, we just had a trend day down. So being able to actually look back and see how price actually moved, and using all my indicators and confluences to make a better picture of what I'm looking at, that's when I started to see better results. And then number 5, it's not necessarily the biggest thing, because at every single time that I take a trade, I am full on accepting my risk. Whenever I hopped in my short today with those 5 points, I was fully willing to risk those $25. And if the trade went against me, then oh well. I've already lost enough times to where I know what that feels like, and it really doesn't affect me in any way. And whenever I have a winning trade, I've had enough winning trades to where that also doesn't phase me. It's just, that's what I was expecting, so it's nice to receive. So trusting my gut with my entries, holding my contract or exiting, proved to be beneficial in instances where I wasn't already that confident. And so, for example, yesterday with this trade here, again, I was really thinking we were going to push higher. And after this big rejection here, I could have just cut my loss here and called it a day. We got stopped out here. So, I could have taken maybe $20, $25, but I ultimately ended up losing 25. But it's fine. Again, that's what I was willing to risk. So I accept it and we move on. And so just a summary is that the most consistent part of my losses were entries that didn't make sense. They were forced trades. I was entering a trade because I wanted to make money rather than entering because it made sense to actually enter the trade. And the most consistent part about my wins were setups that made sense based on market structure, volume profile, and me being patient. And I'm overall happy to still be profitable after 6 months. I wanted to touch back with you guys and kind of, inform you of how I've been doing, what I've been doing, and share my progress in hopes that, maybe it helps somebody out there. Again, I have a 38% win rate currently, which essentially means I'm losing 6 out of every 10 trades, but I'm still well in profit. And so if I can continue to work on my strengths and minimize my weaknesses, then I truly believe that I have a well roadmap and game plan in order to make it pretty far in this field. So if anybody has any questions on on the indicators I use, my strategy, or any explanation on anything trading, I'm no professional by any means, but I do consider myself, a little closer to intermediate than beginner. This is the last 6 months of me trading futures. However, I've been learning the markets and essentially trading for about a year and a half now. So I do have a good bit of knowledge and experience behind me. Humans learn from trial and error. So if you guys can learn from my errors, from what I'm showing you here, then I feel like I'm doing my part in being able to help others the way I would have liked to been helped. So I hope you guys have a good rest of your night. And I will see you guys in the next video. Meh.